Hi guys, in this video I will be discussing four business documents that are part of the course of O-level accounting. Basically all the transactions that we are doing with our customers in business, we do have some proof so that we can make our accounting information. So the first step of accounting cycle is business to collect the business documents and make the books of prime entry. बिज़नेस डॉक्यूमेंट्स में सबसे पहले जब हम कस्टमर्स को कुछ सेल करते हैं तो हम उनको एक डॉक्यूमेंट देते हैं जिसको कहते हैं इनवॉइस. सो दीज ट्रांजैक्शंस आई हैव मेड देम अप. The women's zone is a business. It's an online business based in Karachi. These transactions are with this business called Sue and Sue. Sue and Sue is a hypothetical business. That's not a real business. But see, there are three to four transactions. Basically, there are three transactions here. On August 28, the women's own sold goods to Sue and Sue. List price was 15,000, subject to a trade discount of 10%. तो trade discount इसलिए दे रहे हैं because Sue and Sue is a loyal customer और वो bulk में buy करता है, इसलिए तो हम जब trade discount दे रहे हैं तो basically 15,000 की जो goods हैं we are selling them for 13,500. So 15,000 minus 1,500. We're selling them for 13,500. So the women's zone के लिए ये sales जो हैं वो 13,500 की हैं. ठीक है. In the next transaction, Sue and Sue is returning goods. So here we'll be discussing what documents will be issued on each transaction. So the first document here is an invoice. तो invoice जो है सबसे पहले हम जो है वो द women's zone will issue an invoice to Sue and Sue. So if you see an invoice here, the invoice जो सबसे ऊपर एड्रेस लिखा हुआ है वो सेलर का है. ठीक है. So the issuer of invoice will have this address on the top, and then this is the address for the customer, and here is the date. Here they have written the quantity and the unit price, and then they've multiplied quantity by unit price, तो total amount आ गई. Then दूसरे एक article के लिए they have again did the same, 10 multiplied by 750, and again the amount is 7,500. So total list price of the goods is 15,000, and then they have subtracted the discount, and then 13,500 का total invoice बना है. ठीक है. And invoice को the important part of it is that on credit sales, so whenever goods are sold on credit, तो seller issues an invoice and the buyer receives an invoice. ठीक है. Invoice को in invoice को, how do you describe an invoice? An invoice is a request for payment. So because this is a credit sales, in this case Sue and Sue will promise to pay the women's zone in future. ठीक है. तो क्रेडिट सेल्स का मतलब होता है आप इस फ़ौरन पे नहीं कर रहे, आप फ़ौरन कस्टमर से पेमेंट नहीं ले रहे हैं, आप फ्यूचर में पेमेंट ले रहे हैं कस्टमर से. ठीक है. सो इनवॉइस इज़ ऑल्सो कॉल्ड अ रिक्वेस्ट फॉर पेमेंट. तो यहाँ पे ये हो गया इनवॉइस, इसके लिए हो गया. Document for the first transaction is invoice, and the issuer of invoice is the women's zone, and the receiver of invoice is Sue and Sue. ठीक है. Next transaction, August 29 के दिन Sue and Sue feels that the goods, a few of the goods were damaged, and the list price of that goods was 2250. तो इसका So yes, on August 29, 2022, Sue and Sue returned goods. So for Sue and Sue, this is purchases returns because Sue and Sue ने purchases की थी, credit purchases. The women's zone ने the women's zone के लिए this will be sales returns. ठीक है. Because the women's zone ने sales किया था, अब customers जो हैं वो the customer is returning goods. ठीक है. So whenever goods are returned, so the person who is returning goods, जो return outwards कर रहा है, purchases returns कर रहा है, they will issue a request, that is a debit note. ठीक है. A debit note is just a request. So for example, Sue and Sue thought कि quantity three quantity like two of one article and one of another article is defected because of goods being damaged during shipping. So this would be recorded as जब return outwards हो रहा है तो they will issue a debit note, and that debit note will act as a request to the women's zone to accept the returns. So in this case, debit note is just a request. In the accounting records, debit note की जो है ना कोई वैल्यू नहीं होती. डेबिट नोट कोई बुक्स ऑफ प्राइम एंट्री में रिकॉर्ड नहीं होता. जब द women's जोन को गुड्स मिलेंगे, दे विल सी द गुड्स एंड दे विल से ओके, ये जो लोग ये कह रहे हैं, सो एंड सो वट एवर दे आर सेइंग इज़ करेक्ट. मे बी दीज गुड्स आर नॉट, दीज गुड्स हैव एक्चुअली डैमेज ड्यूरिंग शिपिंग. तो दे विल एक्सेप्ट द returns. So when they accept the returns, they will issue a credit note. ठीक है. So they have accepted the returns fully. So it is possible to have another amount on the debit note. So maybe so and so thinks कि 2025 के goods जो हैं they should be returned. लेकिन maybe the women's zone doesn't accept 2025. They accept less than that. ठीक है. तो in that case, क्रेडिट नोट की जो अमाउंट है दैट इज़ एक्चुअली इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर द अकाउंटिंग रिकॉर्ड्स. डेबिट नोट की अमाउंट इज़ नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट, इट्स जस्ट अ रिक्वेस्ट. ठीक है. सो फॉर बोथ द पार्टीज़, द बायर एंड द सेलर, सो द कन्फर्मेशन इज़ थ्रू क्रेडिट नोट. ठीक है. तो द सेलर विल सेंड अ क्रेडिट नोट to basically the women's zone will send a credit note to the so and so जो है वो उसको एज परचेजेस रिटर्न्स रिकॉर्ड करेंगे और द women's zone will record this as sales returns. ठीक है. सो डेबिट नोट इज़ issued by, important, debit note is issued by the buyer, and credit note is issued by the seller. तो आप लोगों को ये पता होना चाहिए कि अगर किसी कोई एक पार्टी इशू कर रही है तो दूसरी पार्टी रिसीव कर रही है. सो डेबिट नोट बिकॉज द इशूअर इज़ द बायर, सो द रिसीवर इज़ द सेलर, एंड क्रेडिट नोट द इशूअर इज़ द सेलर, सो द रिसीवर इज़ द बायर. So debit note will be issued by the buyer and received by the seller, and the credit note will be issued by the seller and received by the buyer. So that should be remembered. Also, invoices जो issue होते हैं वो book sales journal में record होते हैं because those are credit sales, and whatever credit notes are issued, those are recorded in the sales returns journal in the seller's books. ठीक है. तो sellers books from the seller's perspective, they will go in the sales returns journal, and similarly from the buyer's perspective, they will record the credit notes received in the purchases returns journal. So yes, and after these transactions are done, so the women's zone will issue a statement of account on August 31, because these were the transactions that happened during August. तो वो August के transactions के बाद they will issue a statement of account which will be a statement like this, in which so again the issuer of the statement of account will have their address on the top, and the logo, जो issuer का logo होता है वो यहाँ पे होता है, and यहाँ पे आप receiver का address लिखते हैं, and then they will just, the invoice number is written, the sales amount is written, this is after trade discount, and then the returns when they are accepted, so the women's zone issued a credit note of 2025. So after each transaction the balance is shown. So this balance is shown as an amount due जो सू एंड सू को the women's zone को देनी है. So what is the purpose of issuing a statement of account? That is a important question that is often repeated in the CIE exam. So it's like a very good +1 in the exam. The statement of account is like a reminder. It acts as a reminder to the customers to actually the amount जो उनकी amount due होती है वो उसमें उसके लिए they are reminded. So if you see the last statement here, the last amount shown in the balance column is the amount due. The terms with set by the women's zone for so and so are that if they pay by 28 September 2022, that is 1 month's time, they will get another cash discount of 3%. जो कि पेमेंट टाइम पे दिया जाता है. So that's about it for this video. So we did 4 documents here: invoice, debit note, credit note, and statement of account. So statement of account usually जो स्टेटमेंट ऑफ अकाउंट होता है वो शो करता है समरी ऑफ ऑल ट्रांजैक्शंस विद अ पर्टिकुलर कस्टमर. सो these are usually given to all credit customers, एंड वो इट ऑल्सो एक्ट्स एज अ रिमाइंडर कि उनका कोई अमाउंट ड्यू है. सो दैट्स अबाउट इट. थैंक यू सो मच.